What's up YouTube? Demi here with a build guide again for LemonPrime. I'm now level 99. I hit this, I don't know, a day or two ago now. This is my Blast Rain Pathfinder, also using Lightning Arrow on swap, which is somewhere over here. There it is. But the basically this character is just made to be really fast. It's made to be a workhorse character, do pretty much any content in the game, up to and including Shaper. And the theme is basically lightning penetration. So we'll start with the Ascendancy points. I'm a Pathfinder Ranger start, and I have these four. So I have Veteran Bowyer. This gives you 10% LE penetration, which is again the theme of the build, penetration. We also get 100% increased flash charges every time we kill an enemy affected by ailments, since we are crit and we're using Vingtars. Basically everything is shocked, frozen, and ignited pretty much all the time. You also get 10% of your physical damage, extra damage for a random element. That doesn't show up on tooltip, but it'll randomly do 10% additional damage, so that's good. Then for nature here, we have Nature's Boon. This gives you 8% reduced elemental damage taken, which is the equivalent of 2 endurance charges for elemental damage, which is great. You also gain passive charges, and you have a chance for your Flask to not consume charges. Hooray! And then all these little nodes give you Flask Effect and Flask Effect duration, and Flash charges and attack damage. All of those are great. Master Alchemist is a node that people don't usually take. They like to take Master Surgeon, but this node is shit, so I take this one. You give it immunity to ailments while using a Flask, so I don't get frozen, don't get shocked, don't get ignited, none of that stuff. You also get 40% increased elemental damage and 20% chance to free shock and ignite while using a Flask. That kind of synergizes with this one. You get more ailments on enemies, so you get more flash charges. Great. And then the last 2 points. Master Herbalist is useless to us because we deal no physical damage or chaos damage, so this wouldn't do nothing for us, so instead we take Nature's Adrenaline for Flask Effect duration and Flask Effect, and then we get movement speed and attack speed while using a Flask. All of those things are beautiful. So the tree looks like this. This is my level 99 tree. I'll go over it real quick. You get a bunch of attack speed, proj damage, mana, flash charges gained, attack speed, accuracy, dex, quick step for movement speed, attack speed. Flask Effect duration and charges gained is really good. My Flask lasts, I think, 7 seconds or something. Let me go again. Yeah, 7 seconds on a Vingtars, which is insane. Got a Jewel Socket over here. I'll go over Jewels after the tree as always. We have Forces of Nature. These use 6% LE penetration with weapons and a bunch of WED. All of those things are great. And then one thing that's different from the last guide is I picked up Point Blank here. It gives us 50% more damage to targets at the start of their movement because I'm using Blast Rain and Lightning Arrow. They're both bow skills and attack skills, whatever, so they both get the, where is it? There's Blast Rain. They both get projectile damage bonuses because they're tagged as bow. So, this gives us 50% more projectile damage if they're near us when we attack. So if I'm using Blast Rain, and I'm hitting things like right next to me, I get that 50% more projectile damage, and for Lightning Arrow, if I walk into the middle of a pack, or at the front of a pack, say this is like this whole area is a pack, and I walk to the front and shoot it, I get that 50% more damage, which is pretty good. And it only costs us 3 points, 1, 2, 3, yeah. So that's perfect for us. Then for some crit nodes, we come over here for lethality, pick up all of the critical strike chance crit multi with bow stuff. Get some attack leech as mana here. This is the only leech node I have on the tree, so when I don't have Vingtars leech up for the life and mana leech, I have a little bit of mana leech so I can keep going. And this is attack leech, not physical leech, so it gets, since we're all elemental damage, we get the leech on that. Then I picked up Heartseeker for a bunch of crit multi and crit strike chance and deadly draw. This is an efficient side of this for us. It gives us attack speed and phys damage with bows, and arrow speed, which is I think projectile speed. I don't know what's worded that way, but it works for our Lightning Arrow and for our Blast Rain. Projectile speed on Blast Rain is the time it takes to fall, basically. Another Jewel Socket. Come up here. I don't have All Pact because I'm using a Legacy Vingtars. If you don't have a Legacy Vingtars, just pick up All Pact. You're right next to it. Jewel Socket. Avatar of the Hunt. This gives us a bunch of phys damage with bows and movement speed. I like movement speed. It helps me clear faster. Coordination, attack and cast speed, phys damage, movement speed, some ES nodes, attack damage, intelligence, critical multi, crit strike chance, all good things. Then we go up here for arcing blows. Since we are dealing with lightning penetration mostly, this gives us 8% lightning pen with weapons, which is great. And then we head over into the Witch Supercluster area, pick up another Jewel Socket, pick up Deep Wisdom and Arcane Focus, and then all of the Witch Starter ES nodes because they're ridiculously efficient. Then I pick up the Blast Radius AoE nodes for skill effect, radius, and area damage, which is what Blast Rain is tagged as, and also Lightning Arrow is also tagged as that AoE, so they both get the area damage and radius modifier, which is pretty good. We get another we get a power charge, we get some more jewel sockets, and we get alchemist nodes here. These are really important. This gives us 20, let's see, 14 plus 8 plus 8, so that's 30% flask effect, and then we get 20% from Pathfinder, so we have 50% increased flask effect. Hooray! Head up into CI, grab another jewel socket with the mana nodes, CI itself, and infuse shield behind it. This is a more multiplier, not an increase. This is a very important node. Always get this node if you take CI. Some aura effectiveness nodes, and one reduce mana reserve node, so I can reserve all of my manas, or all my auras, sorry. Ghost Reaver, so we can leech to energy shield, another power charge, and another jewel socket. So all of my jewel sockets are very similar. They are attack speed with bows, because it goes up to 8%, and then I have 3 damage multipliers. So for me, things that scale, Blast Rain and Lightning Arrow are like damage with bows, area damage, global crit multi, sorry. Increased physical damage. Projectile damage is another scaling thing for us. What's this one got? Phys damage with bows, projectile area damage. See, those are perfect for both skills. Same thing over here, attack through the bows, projectile area damage. This one actually only hits Blast Rain, crit multi with fire. If it was crit multi, global crit multi, instead of fire, it would hit Lightning Arrow and Blast Rain, but that's fine. This is the same, crit multi with elemental skills hits both. Since they're both lightning and fire, they get that bonus. Projectile area damage, attack through the bows. You see the theme here? They're all 4 damage property jewels. If you have low ES, you can get ES on your jewels if you want, but I didn't need that ES. I'm at 9k, that's fine. I just wanted damage. And then this, I forgot about this node. This gives you movement speed and damage with bows. Great. So that is the tree. We'll start going over the links here. Okay, so your main 6 link is Blast Rain, increased critical strikes, lightning penetration, fizz to lightning, and weapon elemental damage. And then our 6th link is faster attacks or physical projectile attack damage. I prefer faster attacks because it feels nicer. You can use physical projectile attack damage if you want slightly more damage per hit though. But the fizz to lightning gem converts 50% of our fizz into lightning, and the other half is converted into fire with Blast Rain itself, so we're on 100% elemental damage. And then to help weight it a little bit towards the lightning side of things, I have a Quiver Corruption, which gives us 20% of our physical converted to lightning damage. So that means that in total, we have 70% of our Blast Rain dealing lightning damage. So that our Vingtar's leech and lightning damage penetration, and all of our lightning pen on the tree, helps to give us more penetration. So if I use my Vingtar's, I'm at 80% penetration with lightning, and then an additional 14%. That gives me 94% penetration, lightning penetration, specifically with my Blast Rain. That's insane. That means that unless you have 100% if you have more than 94% lightning res, I'm still going to hit you for pretty much true damage, so that's good. The Lightning Arrow links, I'm using Lightning Arrow and Fizz to Lightning, so that's 100% damage converted into lightning, because Lightning Arrow itself has 50%, and this is the other 50%, so that's 100% lightning damage. Pretty good. We have increased crits, lightning penetration, physical projectile attack damage. Again, this could be faster attacks, and weapon elemental damage for your 6th link. This is a preference thing. When I'm clearing with this, it feels like I attack pretty quick. If I put in faster attacks, it's just a little too fast, so I prefer physical projectile for Lightning Arrow, faster attacks for Blast Rain. Just personal preference. So those are your weapon swap links. The Blast Rain bow I use is a 410 DPS Harbinger, and then when I want to use Lightning Arrow, I switch to Reach of the Council because it gives you free GMP, or greater multiple projectiles, which is amazing because that gem itself has a lesser damage multiplier on it. You don't want to do that, because that means you deal less damage, but this gives it to you for free, and it's 375 DPS. This is actually the best reach in the game. It's one-off perfect, but that's besides the point. So with Lightning Arrow itself, you're going to use a Rigwald's Quills. This gives you free fork. Because we don't have any pierce on the tree, if you don't have this quiver, you can't really kill a pack with Lightning Arrow, so you need this free fork. Otherwise you have to use like chain or something or pierce in your main links, and that's stupid, so just use this quiver, it's great. Okay, so let's go over the other links. My aura setup is Haste, Discipline, Enlighten, and Clarity. This should be level 1 Clarity that I don't need the Enlighten for. But more or less, we just want a bunch of movement speed here, and yes, Haste gives us move speed, attack speed, cast speed, all the things we want. And then my other aura is a Herald of Ice, Curse on Hit, Poacher's Mark setup. So this is for when I hit a pack with any skill, it shatters the pack, and the explosions from Herald Device curse the things next to it and give it Poacher's Mark, which gives us 100% increased flash charges, 40% chance to gain a frenzy charge when you kill something. They also have less evasion, which multiplies our accuracy rating, and then they give us life and mana when hit by attacks, so that's great. All those things are things that we want. This one link over here is a blink arrow. My casting damage taken setup is level 20, and then proj weakness, this is a more multiplier for our damage. Increased damage taken is the same as more damage dealt, so this gives us 54% more damage from our projectile attacks, which includes lightning arrow and blast rain. We also have an ice golem in here for the critical strike chance and accuracy, and then a frost bomb for giving them reduced cold resistance. You could put arctic breath in here, you could put vortex in here. I like this because it gives us a little bit more cold penetration when we have our taste of hate up and our herald device up. And then in your 6th link on this bow, actually I'm only using a 1 link here. I'm using frenzy. This could just be anything. I just have a frenzy here. I'm leveling empowers and punishment and void manipulation, so none of this matters. You just have a 1 link frenzy. It's great. So that is the links. Now we go over the gear itself. Again, for lightning arrow, reach of the council plus for gold's quills, and then for your normal blast rain setup, use a good DPS harbinger, at least 350 DPS with good crit, and then a rear guard. Rear guard is really important for us because it allows me to block cap with a Rumi's concoction. So this gives us 23 and 13 block right there. If I use a Rumi's concoction, it puts me at 75 block and 43 spell block. So I'm basically, this is block cap against most physical attacks. You're pretty much very safe against those. And then against spells, we have 43% mitigation, which is great. Other gear, your helm, you just want as much ES as possible. And resistances, accuracy is helpful as well. Amulet, you want crit multi, wed, physical to attacks, and accuracy if you can get it. I didn't have the option for accuracy, so I went for lightning res because my lightning res was shit. But this is pretty close to what you want perfectly. The rarity should be wed, but you know, I exalted rarity and I was like, oh fuck it, whatever. Rings, you want diamond rings or opal rings. I think opal rings are actually higher DPS if you don't need the crit. If you can get away without using diamond rings, let's see, I lose 3% crit. So I could probably get away with losing both of these and using 2 opal rings for the elemental damage. But you basically want added phase to attacks, weapon elemental damage, resistances, accuracy, and ES on both of your rings. Which is basically what I have. This one doesn't have fizz, and this one doesn't have much accuracy, but you know, whatever. Beggars can't be choosers. On your chest piece, you want as much ES as much ES and resistances as possible. Intelligence also gives you more ES, so try to get that if possible. Gloves, you want resistances, accuracy, attack speed, added fizz to attacks, whatever, and ES, of course. As much as you can get. Sorry, I have to sneeze. Maybe not. Alright, cool. And then for boots, you need Skyforce for this build. It gives you free power charges because you have power charges on crit, and once for crit, we pretty much have full power charges all the time. It also gives us our only base of stun immunity. Stun threshold is based on 500% of your mana instead of life. I have 1500 mana, so that means that this is giving me a stun threshold based on 7500 life pool, which is pretty high, so I don't get stunned very often at all, which is great. It also has 30% move speed, reduced mana reservation, which is really nice for all of our auras. And yeah, they're great. Use Skyforce, amazing. And for your belt, you want to get a Hysteria belt. If possible, the penetrates 5% LA resistances while using a flask is what allows me to hit that 94% penetration thing. These are very hard to craft and to buy, but it gives you that little end game penetration. You don't need this. You just want a good belt with like ES, resistances, strength, whatever you're missing. But that extra penetration is really, really good for end game if you can afford it. What else do I need to talk about? I already talked about rewolves, right? Yeah, okay, so now we'll talk about enchantments. Your helm enchant, you definitely want Blast Rain has 75% chance for an additional blast. This is actually, like, I'm not explaining how huge this is. Let's see. So Blast Rain itself has 4 explosions, right? Each time you attack, it causes 4 explosions. This helm enchant gives you 75% chance for an additional explosion. So each time I attack, I have 75% chance to get up to 5 explosions instead of 4. So that's a 1.25 multiplier times 0.75, which would be, let me do math, hang on. oops, wrong way. So, hang on, I said 1.25 equals that times 0.75. Hang on, I don't know how to do this. So basically, what I'm trying to explain is each attack has a 75% chance of gaining 25% more damage, basically, which is really hard to word properly in a way that makes sense. But basically, the faster you attack, the more chances per second you have of proccing an additional explosion, which gives you more DPS. Basically, I think that makes sense, right? Sure, whatever. If it doesn't, ask in the comments. Boot enchant you want penetrates 10% of elemental resistances if you haven't killed recently. This is for single target, for boss killing, whatever. The other options are attack and cast speed if you've killed recently. Leech if you've killed recently is really nice as well for general clearing. And then movement speed if you haven't been hit recently is also very nice for movement, for clear speed as well. But this is the one I prefer for, again, the penetration theme. And then glove enchants, there's a lot of options here. Of Fury is really nice, of Spite is really nice, of Ire is pretty good as well, of War is always nice. There's a lot of options. Just pick a glove enchant you like. That one's pretty much open, but the helm enchant's pretty locked in, and the boot enchant is also very locked in for me. And then we'll talk about flasks. Our only source of life leech is a Vingtar's, Vessel of Vingtar. It also gives us 10% lightning penetration during flask effect, which is multiplied by our 50% flask effect, so that goes up to 15%. This is a legacy Vingtar's, but that only affects the percent leeched as life. I think non-legacy is 20%, so you'd basically get a legacy effect out of that anyway. So you get life leech, man leech, and if you have legacy Vingtar, you don't need Vol Pact, more or less. But the main stat here that you want is the penetration. Other flasks, I'm using a Quicksilver, Surgeons of Adrenaline, so every time I crit, I gain a frenzy, or I gain a charge, sorry, and then I get movement speed while using Flask. Ruby's Concoction, again, this is for block cap. We talked about this slightly, but if you have a Legacy Rumies, oops, wow, that's really loud. Sorry about that. So if you have a Legacy Rumies, 40-20, perfect Legacy, of course. 50% Flask effect on that is 60% chance to block, and 30% chance to block spells. So I don't even need this to get near block cap. I'm 60-30 without the quiver, but the quiver lets me cap and gain an extra spell block, and that's awesome. And then I'm using a bleed flask here, a ruby flask. The reason I'm using a ruby flask is because with Vingtar's, Taste, and a ruby flask, if I use all three of them, I go to 84 all res, which is a huge defensive buff for us. And then with Rumies up, I'm block capped, which is just so much defense all the time. And our last flask is a Taste of Hate. This is a legacy taste, but if you have a non-legacy, it's still really good. It gives us 45% of physical damage taken as cold damage with our flask effect. So that's basically over 2 assaults worth of physical mitigation. You also gain a huge chunk of your fizz damage as cold damage, so it spikes our cold damage up pretty high, which is, again, free DPS, more or less. But yeah, those are the flasks. We'll go ahead and do a quick courtyard and show the playstyle, whatever. This is just a T15 courtyard with some random garbage on it. Oh, okay. I guess I'm gonna log out. My bad. Try that again.
I'm not up to that just yet.
Yeah, you have two playstyles, more or less. For like wide open areas, I tend to use lightning arrow, like I'll show you. So that's the lightning arrow with the fork from Rigwald's. And then for close-up dirty work, you can weapon swap back to Blast Rain. Just destroy things. Let's go ahead and get some full tooltips for those tooltip warriors out there. So Blast Rain tooltip is 56.9, and then Lightning Arrow is 108k. But again, tooltip doesn't really mean much because it doesn't show our penetration, which is pretty fucking huge. Let's go ahead and run to this boss. But yeah, this build can do more or less anything in the game. If you're a skilled enough player, you can do Shape or Deathless. I just suck at doing Shape, so. Yep. There's your boss kill. Yeah, but I hope you guys enjoyed. This build is really strong. It's a great workhorse build, does literally any content in the game. Not very cheap, but again, it's an end game goal. If you want the budget version of this guide, in the build guides playlist on my channel, there is a Raider version. Chinsoul Blast Rain Raider. Super budget. It's like the first step into making this build, more or less. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and that will be DeMi out.